Yes, the Zeddy was parked in a street parking space, and now they've gone down to the underground car park. So it would appear that I'm not going to have a chance to have a chat with the Attorney General this morning. Heaven forbid that chauffeur-driven, pampered politicians should be faced with the awful situation of having to confront an old bloke with a GoPro. But this is relatively par for the course. Regular citizens of Victoria have to endure the occasional home invasion or carjacking or armed robbery, but the political class get to use the secure underground car park at their ABC. I wanted to ask Christian Porter about the situation that we're currently seeing in Melbourne with the Lawyer X Royal Commission. I wanted to ask Mr. Porter, what is the appropriate course of action for a defence lawyer who finds evidence that an individual they are defending is actually guilty of the offences with which they are charged? I asked a question of Michael Kirby at a public event some years ago. I said, what if a young lawyer naively helps a client to set up a slush fund and then subsequently learns that the client has used the slush fund to misappropriate $500,000? Is there a legal obligation for a lawyer to report that knowledge of an offence to the police? And Michael Kirby said, well, that sounds a little bit close to a real life scenario. And I said, no, you can treat it as hypothetical. And he said, well, citizens do have an obligation, if they are aware of a felony having been committed, to report that knowledge to the authorities, and to fail to do so is something called misprision of a felony. I had to go home and look it up, but apparently it is an old common law provision that if you or I or a member of the public become aware that a crime has been committed, we do have an obligation to report our knowledge of the circumstances to the police. I wanted to ask Christian Porter what would be appropriate behaviour for a lawyer who becomes aware that their client is actually guilty as hell. My assumption is that maybe the lawyer should say to the client, look, in the circumstances that I find myself in now, I can no longer represent you. You'll have to find someone else. The question remains, should the lawyer be obliged legally to report their knowledge of the commission of a felony? Bill Thompson for Outside Insiders.